let everybody go nowhere because I have Elizabeth here. She is a school principal. And just before we head off to go back to whatever we're doing for the day, you know, we're in the last few weeks of school. And Elizabeth, I have to admit something to you. I've put my arms up of surrender. I suck as a schooling mom. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing a very good job. We have 3 weeks left. Um, uh, Elizabeth is here from our Brave Parent Institute, but she's also a school administrator, been in education for over 35 years, and she is just going to give us a couple of tips before we head out. How do we survive the last 3 weeks of school?
Well, thanks for allowing me to be here with you today, Connie. I think, you know what, we need to give ourselves a little bit of a break. Jesse had some statements there. You know, we need to chill out a little. We need to be able to rest and relax, and at the same time, engage our kids in conversation and activity and so on. You want to go for a day and you go for a bike ride, or you're going up to the mountains, because now we're allowed to be able to travel a little bit in our glorious province. I think those are things that are important too. You wanted, you know, if you have to go to Costco and you have to line up, then you can have that conversation about why it's necessary to do that. If you're going into, you know, a store for some food or so on, those might be opportunities as well to do some of the subject area things without it being sitting down and doing homework. You know, we can talk about, you know, adding things on the grocery bill and talking about, you know, that's a fraction of what I make, or, you know, just common sense kinds of things. You know, adding decimals because, you know, something is 298 and something is 450, and, you know, what does that add up to? You know, and I've mentioned a couple of times about baking. Well, you know, if you have a little tiny person in your home, then you might just say, okay, these are the cups that we're going to use to measure. So I want you to take this cup that has a 2/3 on it. And I need that because I need to put that much, I don't know, chocolate chips in whatever it is that I'm baking. So those are the fun things. You know, we still have to balance that with, so that you don't lose your mind between now and June 26th, because that's typically when most of our schools are ending. You know, there might be days where you have to set a schedule and you have to say, like, you work from home and you have kids that are at home. So it might be that you have a conversation with them in advance and say, look, you know, tomorrow I have a webinar. I have stuff that I need to do between this hour of time. Then maybe what you want to do is have breakfast with them and go on a bike ride all together, and or do some kind of physical activity for a period of time so that all of you are fresh and ready to focus on your time. And then you go away and you do your webinar or whatever it is, your on-call meetings with other folks, because you're setting up your schedule for your work moving forward. And then that's a time, even for an hour, where they can sit and do whatever it is that they need to do. So they might do 15 or 20 minutes of reading. They might do 10 minutes of doing a math problem, or they might, you know, and bulk, just to have a little piece of that time. So then, and then you say together, okay, we'll meet again at 10:30 and we'll have a snack together, or recess, for depending on how old your kids are or how young they are, or a more formal kind of way of nutrition break. And, you know, have a snack and make it something that, you know, if you want to eat a bag of Skittles together, then go do that. And then say, okay, I need another time this afternoon, maybe for an hour. Or if you have all of your work time in the morning, then take the afternoon off and go be with them. So because, and I was just chatting with teachers today, this is, we keep using the word unprecedented, but this is a time where it's very different in our whole world. And even our whole world can be our own home. And it's a place where we need to be able to give ourselves permission to breathe, because we're not doing that. We're so busy trying to figure out what we're going to do every minute. And sometimes those every minutes need to be a time when you take time. Maybe you take a whole day and you go do stuff together. You got to do shopping. Maybe you're doing laundry together. Maybe they're helping you clean their room, or a little portion of whatever it is the chores might be. And then you just chill out and you have that day. We're not talking about avoiding things, but there are there are so many ways to be able to do the education piece. You might want to read together, or you might have, depending on how young or old your child is, it might be a time when you're actually just, they read to you, or you read to them, or you're writing a speech for something and you read it to them and you say, what do you think? How is this landing over there with you? Right? Or they might be getting ready to do something in one of their subject areas and they just read the answer to you. And so you're still doing language arts, you're still having conversation, you're still doing the editing piece, and you're enjoying each other's company all at the same time. And I think because there's so much going on right now with a household of people, there might be a layoff in your home, there might be, struggles with finances, there might be your kids might have complex needs or so on, and you're trying to manage all that, including keeping your sanity and theirs and not blowing up your home. And that all comes back to being able to sit together and having those courageous conversations and being brave about stepping out there and just saying, we need to discuss this together so that we're all in this together, because nobody's leaving your house anytime soon, and you're going to continue to have this chaos and flurry of activity unlike the activity that some of your kids might be used to. So if they have hockey, or if they have dance, or they have whatever it is, some of that is still looming out there in their unknown. And so addressing some of those, like you said before, about peeling things back or having those deeper conversations and saying, I get that this must be very challenging for you because you can't see your friends. What can we do about that? Can I call your friend's mother and say, hey, can we have a little Zoom call? Or can we meet at the park? Or can we do something in the responsible social distancing piece and demonstrate to them that things are going to be as okay as we can possibly make them at this time? Because this is so different than any other time in our lifetime. And I think at the same time, it's cause for reflection for us to take a look and see, what can we be grateful for? What's going on in our lives that's really great, and what's going on in our lives that maybe we can work together to make change with, so that our community of family can exist together and do some really great things. And it gives us time to be grateful for what's going on in a larger sense of the world too, and saying, you know what, I'm grateful for being alive. I'm grateful that we have a chance to have some pause in the melee of what's going on, and just be calm for maybe just a minute or two in every single day.
This is such great advice coming from a school principal. The principal
It's
speaking.
only because I'm looking at it for myself too, and saying, when people say, well, let's get back to normal. I don't want to go back to normal. I want a new beginning. I want us to be able to be reflective and to be grateful for Mother Earth, and the whole idea that this is a time of healing of the earth itself, and all of the chaos that we've been seeing even in the news. And you brought it up with Jesse about, what do we need to do to make our lives different, and what kinds of new conversations can we have with our children? Because there was one piece that I felt it wasn't a missing, but I just wanted to bring it forward in our conversation. It's about vulnerability, and being able to be vulnerable, to have those conversations, to show emotion. We're all in this too. And I think it's because I think we feel the mental high anxiety because we don't have a whole lot of control. But what we can say to our children and each other, even our partners, is, you know what? I don't have control about everything else, and I don't have all the answers right now. But let's look at what we do have control over, and let's work together to make this space and place where we are a better place for all of us.
Yeah,
So that
that's
we
perfect.
can be joyful, and we can be grateful for what we do have.
Yes, yes. Just a time of being
Yeah.
flexible, adaptable. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to look the way it always is. I think the parents that are suffering the most right now are the ones who are like, okay, well, I got to do a 9 to 3 school day with my kids, and
And
those
that's not it at all.
Those are the ones that are dying. And then
Yeah.
there's on the other spectrum, there's the parent like me who's like, you know what, I just surrender. We're gonna play badminton. We're gonna talk about world issues.
Hmm.
We're gonna fit things in between what I do for work because you just got to do what you got to do. And
Yep.
you know what I'm most thankful for, Elizabeth? My
What's
youngest
that?
son. My youngest son has decided that homeschooling is not for him.
That's great news. Yeah.
Such great news. Because he had been asking me for quite a few years, to be honest. And so yeah, we've discovered that he needs a classroom setting to be motivated, and that I'm not enough motivation for him. And so that's great. But and we're learning. And I like how you mentioned that. Like, just lean in, figure
Hmm.
out what works for your family. What an opportunity. We'll probably never get a pause like this, maybe
No,
again. So why not?
probably never. Yeah.
Yeah, take advantage of it. Learn to, our kids are probably just enjoying the fact that we're home, and that, yeah, what an opportunity. So, no, I thank you so much. And Elizabeth is actually she's one of our coaches for the Brave Parent Institute. And I'm just so thankful for you, Elizabeth, because you've brought a lot of calm and tools to parents right now, not just in school, but in being um, certain of their own bravery and their own
Hmm.
voice and their own story. Like, Elizabeth, you bring so much more, which we'll definitely be diving in on a webinar on just your story and what you do. But uh, it's so important right now for parents to not feel like you have to do this alone, which is why I do the
Right.
Tuesday webinars for free. I don't know how long I'll do them for, because we're slowly coming out of the cocoon. But I'll be really honest. Parents have been my number one concern through this whole thing, because when our parents are strong, our kids are strong. When
Yep.
our parents are suffering, our kids are going to suffer. And what I've noticed in my 20 years of mental health and resilience work is that parents often just keep behind closed doors. We don't say anything. We don't
Hmm.
ask for help. We don't dare because we're afraid of judgment. Shame
Yep.
tells us you should know better, you should be doing better, when that's not true at all. And so a lot of parents suffer in silence. And
Yep.
what I love about our Brave Parent Institute is that we have a counselor that's available. Like, now you could call her right now. I mean, maybe not right now, but you could get help right
Yeah.
now. That was one of the biggest barriers that I saw in mental health, was parents who were like, we need help today. And well, we could book you in for a year from now. Are you kidding me? That is a huge problem, and it's not okay. And so, we have someone, a professional who can help. We have Elizabeth who can guide with schooling and also finding just bravery. We've got a connection coach, Sally. A lot
Hmm.
of parents are like, how do I connect with my kids? I hear I'm supposed to do this. This is the thing. I hear it from Dr. Jody. I hear it in books. I hear it all over. Now, how do I do it? And there's our connection coach, who is an expert, and she can walk you through that instead of figuring it out on your own. We have a self-care coach, someone who can actually teach you, what does self-care look like in crisis? It does not look like a beautiful cup of tea with a nice blanket and being quiet for hours. Sorry, that doesn't happen, at least in my house. She'll walk you through that. We have a health and nutrition coach who posts workouts every morning, bless her heart, and sends out menu plans once a week so that we can be healthy and strong for our kids. And so this is something I wish I would have had when we were in our mental health crisis. This is something that parents need.
Hmm.
A lot of people ask me, what do you think is our reason for the mental health problems that we're in? And everybody likes to blame screens, but I'm going to actually say the number one reason why we are in a mental health crisis is because we've lost the village. We've
Yep.
lost extended family. We have lost showing up for one another, and we're all hiding. So this is our answer. Our answer is, welcome to our village. And if you just want to show up on a Tuesday webinar, you go for it. If you want to join us, send me an email. I will respond to you right away. Our Brave Parent Institute is a monthly membership, so it does cost, but it's $39 a month. That's less than a gym membership. We've taken down the barrier of finance so that anyone can access it. For those who are on the webinar right now, I'm just going to post my email. You can email me if you're interested. I just want to mention just before we go, everyone, that we have a comment in our chat to a mom who has homeschooled my son until he started grade 12. Wow, you're amazing.
Wow.
Everything was going great until the pandemic. Trying to bring the school system back to my home was a disaster. It's nothing the same. It's a tremendous loss to him, and there will be no room in 12s next year. Any suggestions? We're studying for the GED. Some new standards will have to be created for the class of 2020. Any suggestions, Elizabeth?
Wow. It's an interesting dynamic. Is this parent interested in, she wants to bring her son back in, I'm assuming it, okay. She wants to bring her child back into the regular school system?
I believe, Linda, I believe what you're saying is that you just want your son to be able to graduate and take this test. And that this schooling from home in a school way just isn't working for him. Is this what we're hearing correctly? Exactly. There you go.
Okay.
Now, you know what's great, Elizabeth, is that Linda is in our Brave Parent Institute. And
Oh,
Linda,
cool.
I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth, who is your
Hi,
coach.
nice to meet you.
So if maybe we could answer it fairly broadly, but if you need more, well, isn't this nice? You can access Elizabeth anytime.
Mm-hmm. I would suggest at this point in time that it might be wise to be in contact with a school principal because, hello and thank you, a school principal of a high school that's close to you, just at least to open the conversation to see if there's any kind of way to be able to negotiate that. I know that it's fairly late, but it's worthy of conversation because if you don't have it, you won't be able to get any kind of answer. So that might be a really good place to start and see what your options are. So both with the public system, with Catholic, with Rocky View, it depends on, because I'm not sure of your location in the city, but that might be worthwhile having that kind of conversation. We also have a program within Calgary Catholic too that's it really is sort of a combination between online and classes and distance learning, and that's our St. Anne's Academic Center. And sometimes we have students who go there that have already gotten to grade 12 and maybe hadn't had a really significantly positive time in a regular classroom. So that might be an interesting location to be able to dial into as well. And just, because all of our administrators are still in schools. So you might want to have a conversation and see, and you might have a chance to be redirected that way.
There you go. And I mean, obviously that's a very big question and there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of questions right now, but I
Yeah.
love how you mentioned reach out to your school administration. I mean, that's a great place to start. And so
Yeah.
Elizabeth, I just want to say thank you for being here today. Thanks for giving us something to get through the next 3 weeks. And everyone in the meantime, please remember that you're brave.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just, before we go, speak our brave parent mantra over all of us. And also remind everyone that next week we have Dr. Carolyn Bazanko again with us talking on the autism spectrum, which I'm super excited about because a lot of parents with children on the spectrum have really suffered through this. And so we're going to talk about that next week. But I want to remind you, I am brave. I show up when it's hard. I love without walls. I forgive when it hurts. And I rise through the storm. Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks so much again, Elizabeth. Bye now.
You're welcome, Connie. See you. Have a great day, everyone.